Okay, so you want the good news or the bad news? The bad news. Yeah, me too. I like getting the bad news out of the way and letting the good news roll around for a while. Okay, here it goes. The bad news is the Taliban announced they're resuming many of the Sharia law policies they had in place when they last ruled Afghanistan, and therefore they will once again carry out executions and amputations of hands. Bad news indeed. But hold on, there's some good news too. While announcing the return to severing hands for petty theft and hangings for adultery or gayness, the Taliban said the hangings and hand severing might not be done in public this time around. But they couldn't promise that. I mean, can you imagine the loss of revenue from ticket sales if they stop hanging adulterers and gays in stadiums? In an interview with the Associated Press, Mullah Noruddin Turabi dismissed outrage over the Taliban's executions in the past, which sometimes took place in front of crowds at a stadium, and he warned the world against interfering with Afghanistan's new rulers. He said, quote, "Everyone criticized us for the punishments in the stadium, but we've never said anything about their laws and their punishments," Turabi told the Associated Press. Quote, "No one will tell us what laws we should be doing. We will follow Islam and we will make our laws on the Quran." You know, he's got a point. While the Taliban is cutting off limbs and executing people in stadiums, we in America are worried about snowflake liberals' feelings getting hurt if we call them by a pronoun like he or she, or when they don't get what they want.
Donald J. Trump is now President of the United States. President
What a great honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th President of the United States of America.
We are in so much trouble in America. Woke culture is ruining us. In Talibanistan, it's not go woke, go broke. It's go woke, go dead. And yeah, we're going to cut off your head in public where those darn nosy neighbors of yours living in the hut next door can watch. My guess is that, yes, they will resume the public beheadings and hangings because that's who they are. They say a leopard doesn't change its spots. Well, neither does a group of radical, fanatical, Stone Age era jihadists who use religion to sanctify their inhumane ways. The new Taliban, same as the old Taliban. And to think, the Biden administration called these cockroaches trustworthy.
You're saying that we're not going to rush to recognition. That means that there could be recognition.
As we've said many times, the international community is watching, the United States is watching. It's whether they let people depart the country who want to depart, whether they treat women across the country as they have committed to treat them, and how they behave and operate.
No wonder there are 13 American service members' families grieving today. So the Taliban are supposedly a kinder, gentler version now, but with just a sprinkling of beheadings and maimings. Joining us now with reaction to their unsurprising reversal, former ambassador to Germany and former acting director of national intelligence, Rick Grenell. Rick, thanks for being here. So kinder, gentler new Taliban or the same old Taliban? What say you?
Well, it looks like we're going to get pushed off the building with just one hand rather than two hands, and that's supposed to be kinder and gentler. Look, I don't understand the State Department. I've worked there for 11 years. Why are they being so duped in the political leadership level? Because I can tell you that the Foreign Service officers are not duped. They know exactly what's happening. They know that there's not going to be a Kabul Pride anytime soon. And yet, you know, we've got the leadership at the State Department who are sitting across from the Taliban and asking for climate change sign-ons and for, you know, a Kabul Pride. I mean, this is just ridiculous. We need people at the State Department and the political level to be very clear-eyed, Eric. You know this. They've got to be clear-eyed about what we're up against. And we are up against a Taliban that is going to systematically deny people their basic rights, whether you're gay, whether you're a Christian, whether you're a woman. And I would even go so far as to say regular Muslims who are living in Afghanistan are also going to be denied their human rights regularly. But we've got people like AOC, you know, who are crying when faced with their votes about the West Bank and Israel. I'd like to see her wear that off-the-shoulder dress in the West Bank and Tel Aviv and see what the difference is.
Tax rich. I think that's what you're talking about. Hey, Rick. And the problem is when the Biden administration and Milley and the other clowns in the Pentagon, when they realized they were losing Afghanistan fast, they turned to the Taliban and said, "Hey, listen, help us out here when we want to get some people out." And that is what resulted in the death of 13 Americans. So this trusting the Taliban, they're just not capable. They're not smart enough to handle our foreign policy.
Look, I want to be very clear that this was not an intelligence failure or a State Department failure or a DOD failure. The career people in all three of those agencies, they understand that the Taliban was on the march. They warned this in March and April. This was a political failure. Politicians failed us. And I think we've got to be very clear about that.
Can I just push back on you a little bit? You included DOD
Sure.
in there. Milley failed. Milley failed us completely. He looked the camera in the eye. So we had no idea that they were going to take over Afghanistan in 11 days, and we now know that they were warned well in advance of that 11-day period.
He's a political appointee, and the political leadership are the ones that failed us. Blinken and Austin and Jake Sullivan. But you know who didn't fail us are the men and women who've been fighting in Afghanistan. They kept us safe. They did their job. I would also argue is that the intelligence officers who were on the front line, the State Department officials who were abandoned by Anthony Blinken. We removed 2,500 U.S. troops and 5,000 NATO troops before we evacuated the embassy. Think about that.
Yeah.
I don't know a Secretary of State that has abandoned Foreign Service officers and kept their job.
I don't know how you live with yourself leaving service members at Abbey entrance of that airport, knowing that a suicide bomber was on its way. But they all did that, and you're right. We pray for every single service member who puts their life on the line, listening to the idiots that you point out are making the decisions up top. Rick Grenell, thank you for being here.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.